Before we begin, I'd like to offer a brief introduction to this video and share why I approached it in this way. The audio recording was created as part of my yoga teacher training. The original assignment was to record myself reading a script of a class being taught. I chose to film myself doing the practice, following the teacher as a student, and allowing their words to guide my body in real time. In parts of the video, I mentioned different options for poses, but I chose variations that felt more meditative for me. Thank you for witnessing this part of my training and my becoming. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yoga with Harper. This is the yin yoga practice for the whole body. This practice is for all levels, including beginners, and you won't need any props or any special equipment. You could be on a carpet or on top of a blanket or a yoga mat, whatever is available. This practice will focus on the movement of energy through the meridians, the way that we experience prana, and the way we experience the movement of chi in the body, and how the yin yoga practice stimulates that awareness. So let's go ahead and get started. To begin, lie down on your back. As you lie down on your back, you might bend your knees so that you can place your feet flat on the ground, and drop your knees in towards the center so that they rest against each other. And it might feel good to step your feet out a little bit wider, so they're at least as wide as your shoulders. Or you can take it any other resting position that's comfortable for you. Let your hands rest on your belly and start to breathe into your lower back and into your belly. Your hands can rest just slightly below your navel. As you breathe, imagine there's a small balloon inside of your pelvic bowl that's expanding to fill the pelvis, to fill the lower back, and to fill the lower belly. And now, with your next inhale, begin to think about making some sound on the exhale, just a little bit more, audibly, like an ocean sound, coming from your throat. Shh. And do that 2 more times with the ocean sound, as if you were trying to fog up a mirror. Shh. And 1 more time, really let the jaw relax. Shh. Now, settling into an even breath, an even inhale and exhale through the nose. Your back body softening against the ground. Your sacrum spreading against the ground with the legs in the bent position, the soles of your feet spreading out against the ground. And now, gently letting the eyes open and drawing your knees in towards your chest. You can have one hand on each knee or wrap the arms around your legs, maybe holding opposite wrist or forearms. Now, coming into a spinal twist as our first yin pose today, take both knees over to the right side, and you can scoot your hips to the left first so that you end up easily balanced on this outer right hip. When we come into the yin spinal twist, we have choices, such as whether the knees are directly on top of each other or slightly askew, and whether the legs are pulled close towards the chest or not. And you will always want to take care of your arms here. So if your arm ends up in a suspended position and is not comfortable, then you might want to take a pillow or something underneath it. Or you can just twist a little bit less and even place a prop like a block or a pillow in between your knees. It's not really crucial what the arms and knees are doing. What is important is what you're feeling in your spine, that you're twisting your spine. Your pelvis is being rotated one way as your shoulder girdle and ribs are being rotated the other way. That's the simplicity of the twist. You can always experiment with different angles of your arms and legs and with using props. And it may feel helpful to rest the right hand on the left knee as another variation. You may enjoy the twisted roots pose, where you take your legs back up to the center, cross the left knee over the right, and then drop the knees back down to the right. Once you settle into your twist and find relative stillness, start to notice the action of your breath. And you can continue to draw the breath down into the bowl of the pelvis, into the lower back, the sacrum, and the low belly. Now, take your left arm to the right side and curl up into a ball on your right side. And just rest here, continuing to feel into the body, into the breath. After twisting to one side, notice what you feel in your spine, in your back body, in your waist, and in your sacrum. Very good. Now, let's bring it back to the center and twist to the second side. So bend your knees and place your feet flat down. Then skew your hips a few inches to the right first. Bring the knees over to the left side and reach the right arm out on the floor towards the right. In this practice of yin yoga, we're stretching into the deeper tissues of the body, the fascia, which is the sinewy stuff that weaves its way through the muscles, tendons, and ligaments. And so, as we move through the first minute of a pose, the first sensation is often more on the muscle level. After that, we still start to feel more deeply. As the muscles loosen and soften, we start to feel the fascia layer. This deeper layer and the fascia continues through the body. The web that weaves its way throughout the physical body, and within this web is said to be where the meridians lie, where the energetic lines run, and where the chi flows through. You don't have to know much about anatomy to know that there is something going on in the physical, mental, and energetic levels when we do these postures. The mind is drawn into this physical experience. There's something about the practice that quiets the mind and pulls its way from whatever busyness it may be wanting to venture into. Instead, we can just keep on allowing the mind to be drawn into the body and what's happening here and now. Now, release the twist and start to roll all the way onto your left side. Rest here for 1 minute as you curl up into a ball. And now, slowly lift yourself up, press your right hand into the ground, and make your way into hands and knees into child's pose. Take a 1 minute rest here in child's pose, feeling into the lower back after the twist, feeling the spine after twisting to both sides, feeling the tops of the feet and the fronts of the shins spreading along the ground. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. Now, releasing and coming into dragon pose with the left leg forward. So the yin lunge is called dragon pose. As you step your left leg forward, you might be comfortable placing your hands on either side of the front foot, or if you have blocks, then you might like to lift your chest higher by placing the hands on the blocks. Another variation is to place the hands on the inside of the foot. You can also walk your left foot further out to the side. So we will do 1.5 minutes with a high version, and then we'll move it down to a low dragon pose, which we call gecko, for another 1.5 minutes. So we'll be in the lunge for 3 minutes total, And if you just have a favorite dragon variation that you want to work with for the whole 3 minutes, feel free to do that. Or to experiment. The line of fascia we're focusing on here is the area from the right knee moving up along the front of the thigh, over the front of the hip, and perhaps into the low belly, depending on how high your torso is lifted. There may also be some sensation in the back, depending on how much of a back bend you've come into, which you may feel in the right side of the spine and the right side of the sacrum. Now, move your hands both to the inside of the foot, and you might just stay here, or you might come onto the elbows, or place your elbows on a block or two for gecko pose. You can do the variation that's a bit tilted with the right hip down more than the left. You might want to walk the left foot out to the side to make some space between the foot and the arms. You're free to experiment with that, and maybe also with letting the left knee open to the side. Now, slowly release and step back to downward dog. Lift up the hips and find a little movement in the legs, bending one knee at a time, feeling the difference between your right leg and your left leg, your right thigh and your left thigh, after dragon and gecko on one side. Now, let's go ahead and switch to the second side, with the right leg stepping forward into dragon pose. Beginning with a more upright version with your hands on the floor, either on the inside or on top of the blocks, maybe on either side of the front foot. None of these choices is better than the other. What's important is that you're feeling it in the target area, which is in the front of the left thigh, from the left knee running up along the front of the thigh and the hip, and perhaps into the lower belly. Now, taking both hands on the inside of the foot and walking the right foot out to a place that feels right for you and coming down onto the elbows. Or if it's too much to come onto the elbows, then use the prop. or stay up on straight arms. Now, slowly come up and step back into downward dog. Now, drop the knees and come into child's pose and rest here for 1 minute. Slowly come up now and move into Yogi's Choice for back bending time. So you can come onto your back and do a supported bridge. If you have a block to slide under the hips, you can do this with bent legs or straight legs. Or you might choose the saddle pose, which is a good choice if you have more experience and more skeletability in this range of motion. For saddle, sit on your feet and perhaps lean back on the hands or come all the way back, or sit on top of your feet. Saddle pose is certainly not for everyone, and we're not going to go into it in depth today. So for now, only do saddle if you explored that pose before and know that it works for you. Your other choice is going to be the Sphinx pose, lying on the elbows and forearms. We'll hold this for 4 minutes in your choice of a yin back bend. And if you're in the Sphinx pose, you're resting your weight on your elbows and placing the elbows in such a way you can really just rest into the bones. You don't have to use your muscles of your arms to hold yourself up. In whichever back bend you're in, it's always interesting to experiment the distance between the legs. How wide or how narrow your legs are always has an effect on what you're feeling. And sometimes it's a profound effect. That's not one way that's better or worse. It's just a big change of what you feel. So play around with that. And then once you find a shape you'd like to rest in, let the mind start to settle into awareness of the body and awareness of what you're feeling. Observe how the breath moves and circulates through this body, through the lungs, the belly, the spine. In the ancient yoga traditions and in Qigong, our Chinese movement, there's a commonality of how energy is perceived. Whether you're calling it qi in the Chinese practices or prana from the Indian practices, There is a way that the mind is able to sense and guide energy in the body by feeling it as breath. We don't technically breathe into our spine. We don't technically breathe into our pelvis. That's not anatomically possible. However, if you think about breathing into your spine, or if you think about breathing into the bowl of your pelvis, there is a way of directing chi, directing prana into this part of your body. That is how the human mind tends to be most capable of moving energy. We bring awareness to a part of the body by imagining that we're breathing into it. This is a powerful practice. Now, if you're in Sphinx and you want to have a little bit more sensation, you could lift up on your straight arms for the second half of the pose into seal pose, or just stay right where you are. Now, come out of your pose. So if you're in the Sphinx or seal, just rest your forehead on your hands. But if you're in saddle pose, then slowly come on and back to make your way into child's pose. And if you're on your back in supported bridge, then slide the block out and rest on the back. Take 1 minute of rest here on the back, on the belly, or in child's pose. Slowly come up now and move into your choice of a straddle pose today. Here are the 3 poses you'll choose from. Butterfly pose, where you sit with the soles of your feet together and come forward. Dragonfly pose, when you sit with the legs wide and come forward. Or frog pose, when you start out in a wide knee child's pose, then come down on your elbows or the forehead, and then widen the knees to whatever distance feels good to stretch the inner thighs. You can use pillows under your seat or even substitute with the wall versions of these postures if you're familiar with them. In all of these postures, The idea it is to stretch the inner thighs. You have choices because everyone's hips are different, and people experience yoga postures very differently in different bodies. For the hip poses, we also want to make sure we're not feeling it in the knees, since that's a sign that we're pushing our hips beyond their range of motion. The good news is that we have so many other wonderfully crafted yoga poses to choose from, and this is exactly why. We are now halfway through our 4 minutes in this pose. So if you want to move to a second variation choice, go for it, or just stay right where you are if you want to do a whole 4 minutes in one place. Slowly, now release whatever pose you're in and come into a nice, long 1 minute relaxation on the back, taking this time to feel the rebound of the pose in the inner thighs and to feel whatever else is happening inside of you. Your hand could just rest on your belly or at your sides, whatever is comfortable. Bend the knees in now and draw them in towards your chest and lift your head up towards your knees. Release your head back down and roll to one side and come up to sit for a half butterfly pose. Extend your left leg forward and bend your right leg. Bend forward over the left leg and take the time to arrange any props under your seat. If you want to sit on a pillow or a folded blanket or something else. Your hands could be on either side of the leg or on the inside of the leg. You can play around with this forward angle that you're making. See what feels good in your body today. You can hold on to your foot if that's convenient, but if it feels like you're really reaching and grasping and pulling to get there, then that might be the energy of what we want in a yin practice. We really primarily want the sensation that we're softening into gravity, relaxing into gravity, surrendering. Slowly releasing the first side of half butterfly. Feel the spine coming upright. Feel the head coming up on top of the spinal column, and slowly change legs. Extend the right leg forward and bend the left leg, making your way over to the right leg. Again, maybe you're angled directly toward the leg. Maybe you're slightly inside of the leg. Slowly releasing now and making your way into a star pose for our final Shavasana. Make yourself totally comfortable here with any additional props or clothing to keep yourself warm and a long rebound from our whole practice. to feel into the whole body and all of the places that have been stretched and stimulated. Feeling the effects of all of the chi, the prana that's been moved through this body, maybe there's a tingling happening. Maybe sensations of heat or pressures or fullness, whatever it is, whatever draws the mind in at this moment. As this energy moves through the meridians and as the mind is drawn into a deep inward experience, there is automatic tendency to relax, to become more calm. Without effort, without trying to make it happen, that is the whole surrender part is about, surrendering into this experience of this moment. Now, gently starting to wiggle your fingers and toes, inhale your breath, reach your arms overhead, and stretch down long through the legs. Exhale as you bend your knees, rolling slowly over to one side, making your way into a comfortable seat. And that's our yin practice for today. Let's chant on together, one time to complete. Closing the eyes, place the palms together in front of your heart. Sit with your spine tall and inhale. Om. Namaste.